Have you ever heard of unemployment? Does Malaysia has high rate of unemployment? Do you consider yourself as unemployed? Before we begin further in our documentary, let's talk about the definition of unemployment. Unemployment refers to a scenario in which a person actively seeks employment but is unable to find it. Unemployment is considered as a significant indicator of the economy's health. The unemployment rate is most commonly used indicator for the unemployment. If the unemployment rate is too high, that means the country is experiencing economic distress. But if the country has a low unemployment rate, that means the country is experiencing overheating economy. The unemployment rate is calculated by dividing the number of unemployed people by the number of people in the labor force. Malaysia does not lack job opportunities. In fact, there is no labor shortage in Malaysia. But what's shocking is, a lot of Malaysians and fresh graduates are underemployed. The labor force participation rate is only 69%, which means that 7.3 million people, including 840,000 graduates, are not in the labor force.
Anak muda apabila ditanya, as SPM leavers, do you want to go to university? 71% kata tak nak. Mereka lebih rela jadi influencer. Mereka lebih rela bekerja dalam sektor gig. Belajar 6 tahun, gaji permulaan RM2,100. Baik kerja dekat Uniqlo, gaji permulaan Uniqlo RM2,200. Ini adalah underemployment dan jumlahnya telah meningkat 4 kali ganda dari 500,000 anak muda. Kini dah cecah 2 juta anak muda yang terperangkap dengan masalah underemployment.
Some people tend to think that the majority of these graduates are unemployed and underemployed because they are too picky about job opportunities. Ex-Human Resources Minister M. Kulasegaran stated that it's not that they are too picky. Instead, the main reason is because the salaries offered are too low.
There's a lot of unemployment in Malaysia by the main factors such as lack of work experience, lack of skills, and incompatibility to compete in the labor market. All these factors actually give the big impact to the new graduate. Based on the survey, it is stated the other factor of this unemployment among youth is due to unrealistic salary or expected benefit. Young people tend to get jobs with high expectation, and that makes them unemployed for a long time to find the right job. Some companies prefer to hire people with experience than wasting their resources to train the fresh graduate from scratch was also one of the factors. This is because many companies are more concerned with experienced employees so that the company does not have to incur high costs to train the new employees. In short, unemployment in Malaysia must be addressed immediately so that the company of our country will continue to develop and be able to achieve the country's mission and vision.
Is the fact or proof of employment. So according to the Human Resource Ministry, nearly 100,000 Malaysians have lost their job since the inception of MCO, and COVID-19 has the greatest impact of employment in the aviation, hospitality and tourism industry. Further, regarding the retail sector, where millions of Malaysians work full-time, part-time and contractual condition lead to job loss. Further, amid COVID-19, 8 out of 10 retrenched Malaysians are looking forward due to companies struggling with retrenchment around the world, laying off their workforce to cut their losses amid the COVID-19 crisis. Apart from that, the Malaysian Employer Federation state the economic slowdown is expected to result in 1 million layoffs this year. This problem not only affecting the economy of the individual, but also may affect the mental health of the employee who has suffered lost job amid the pandemic COVID-19 crisis. Thus, from recent study and statistics show, it has highlighted the challenge in the context of employment during the pandemic COVID-19 outbreak, and Malaysia are not included from its effect.
From the statistics above, it showed the employment rate 1995 to 2020, but to compare to this year 2023, the labor market is anticipated to improve in 2023, with the unemployment rate forecast to reduce to 3.5% to 3.7%, according to the economics report released by the Ministry of Finance. It followed the improvement estimated for the whole of 2022 to 3.8% until 4% from 4.2% in the first half of 2022 amid stronger demand for workers by business and industry in meeting both external and domestic expansion. Total employment is estimated at 50.3 million person this year and since to rise 1.7 to 50.56 million in 2023. The service sector comprehensing the wholesale, retail, trade, accommodation, food and beverage subsector to forecast to contribute to 65.3% of total employment or 10.165 million person in 2023. Up from 65.1% or 9.966 million in 2022. It shows employment rate is decreased compared from 2022. The economy of Malaysia improved from year to year after pandemic COVID-19.
Malaysia's unemployment rate was down to 3.7% in July 2022 compared with 3.8% in the previous month as the labour market situation further improved due to the continuous operation of all business activities. The number of unemployed persons declined to 620,700 in July this year from 630,600 in June, according to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, a positive growth of 0.3% to 15.98 million persons. Specifically, employment in the services sector, manufacturing and construction services continued to expand, while employed persons in the agriculture and mining and quarrying sectors declined. In the meantime, the number of persons outside the labour force continued to record a reduction of 0.1% to 7.25 million persons versus 7.26 million persons in June, according to the DOSM. Following this, senior economist Julia Goh and economist Lok Siu Teng of UOB Global Economics and Market Research revised their year-end unemployment rate forecast to 3.5% from 3.6%. Forecast for the 2023 unemployment rate was also revised downward to 3.2% from 3.5%. The revision means that the Malaysian labour market is likely to fully recover to pre-pandemic levels by mid-2023 if the domestic economy grows in line with the economist's forecast of 4.8% for 2023. It should be noted that the unemployment rate was 3.3% in February 2020, just before the nationwide MCO kicked in.
Adakah akak rasa kadar pengangguran di Malaysia semakin meningkat atau menurun selepas negara kita hampir pulih dengan pandemik?
Pada pendapat saya, macam sebelum ni masa COVID, kadar pengangguran memang sangat-sangat meningkat, tetapi disebabkan yang semakin berkurang kadar COVID ni, jadi kadar pengangguran pun slowly dia jadi menurun kadar pengangguran itu sebab negara makin pulih, jadi ada je yang peluang pekerjaan tu semakin meningkat lah, jadi kadar pengangguran tu semakin menurun secara perlahan-lahan.
Dan soalan, adakah akak rasa peluang pekerjaan tinggi apabila akak habis belajar? Jadi senang tak nak dapat kerja apabila akak habis belajar berdasarkan kos yang akak ambil?
Pada pendapat maybe macam saya ambil course tourism, jadi mungkin senang lah, mungkin insya-Allah senang, peluang pekerjaan tu banyak. Lagipun saya berfokus kepada macam di Sabah banyak je peluang pekerjaan kalau bahagian tourism tu lah, jadi insya-Allah boleh lah.
What is the relation between GDP and inflation in an economy? The higher the GDP, the more are the goods and services being produced in the economy. This means that factories and producers are employing more people. And if they are employing more people, then people who are being employed have more income in their hands, they have purchasing power. This can also mean that they also are demanding more. This can lead to a situation where the demand is increasing, however, the supply of goods and services is not able to meet the increasing demand. And this can lead to a situation of inflation. So as GDP grows, usually there is seen to be a situation of inflation. GDP is accompanied by inflation. Now this is not a foolproof thing. There may be certain circumstances wherein the GDP is not growing but the inflation is very high, and there could be multiple permutations and combinations here. But broadly speaking, ceteris paribus, that is keeping all the assumptions in place, higher GDP is accompanied by an inflation also.